This is Bobby C. reporting from the big ballpark in the Bronx, where our BronxNet cameras will take a stroll down memory lane with the Yankee legends on Old Timers Day. Jorge, as someone that elected to not play beyond the pinstripes, you know, how important is tradition to you in being part of this Yankee culture?
It's the best organization in the world. You know, they treated me real well, and when it was time for me to decide to, play with another team or stay a Yankee, I wanted to stay a Yankee.
How much do you enjoy putting the pinstripes back on?
Best weekend of the year. I mean, we get to come back into it. You know what? I used to hate shagging when I played. Now it's not long enough. I get to be on the field, put this uniform back on in front of all these amazing fans. It's the best weekend.
We're very privileged, honored. Been here since Thursday, met a lot of people. Would probably give an arm and a leg to be out in our position, and fans have been great. I don't know how much we'll entertain them today, but the goal is to get everybody out here. It's a beautiful day, and it's a privilege to be on this field.
I'm one of the younger guys here, so I sit back, just laugh and listen. Some of these stories are unbelievable, incredible. And I'm just glad to be here. The camaraderie is amazing. And, I'm like a kid in a candy store right now.
That's great. That's great. We get a chance to do the actual play-by-play of the game after they are introduced on the field to the adoring fans here at Yankee Stadium. And then the fact that they play a game, a lot of guys still are competitive and want to get out there and beat the heck out of the other side. So it's going to be fun.
Goose, you're part of the most special fraternity there is of being a Hall of Famer. What does being part of this Yankee tradition mean to you?
Playing my 6 years here and winning a world championship here and doing a lot of the great things. Growing up in Colorado, my mom and dad were all huge Yankee fans. I grew up a Yankee fan, and then getting to put the pinstripes on, I've always said it's like an out-of-body experience.
Old Timers Day is always special. Jorge Posada back for the first time. The Yankees also did a marvelous job in remembering our friend, the late, great Howard Golden, the former Bronx News and Latino sports reporter who passed away last July, was among those recognized during the ceremonies on the scoreboard. Howard, I know you were listening. Old Timers was always one of your faves. Michael Kay did a nice job calling out your name. As for the Pinstripers, they wrapped up their homestand last Sunday in the Bronx, dropping 2 of 3 to the Texas Rangers, including Sunday's 7-6 defeat on Old Timers Day. The Bombers bounced back Monday in a 6-5 victory against the White Sox in Chicago, but were edged 4-3 Tuesday before putting together a 12-3 win Wednesday in Chicago. Wednesday was highlighted by the call-up of rookie infielder Miguel Andujar, who racked up 3 hits, 4 RBIs and a stolen base in his debut. The 22-year-old's 4 RBIs set a record for a Yankee, making a major league debut. Billy Martin in 1950 and Marv Throneberry in 1955 each had 3 RBIs. But believe it or not, the injury-riddled Yanks sent Andujar down Thursday. They called up another top prospect and outfielder Dustin Fowler. The Yanks gave rookie sensation Aaron Judge a night off in right field and started Fowler in his place, with Judge DHing for Matt Holliday, who was put on the DL with a viral infection. Following a lengthy rain delay and what turned out to be a miserable rookie debut for Fowler, he suffered an open rupture of the patellar tendon and his right knee, crashing into the first base rail. The Yankees said he would undergo surgery at Chicago's Rush University Medical Center. The 22-year-old is another of the Yankees' long list of top prospects. A left-handed hitter, he batted .293 with 13 homers and 43 RBIs in 70 AAA games. He's done for the season, but typically an injury like this will take about 6 months for full recovery. I expect that we see Fowler at the start of spring training. The Yanks were then edged by the White Sox 4-3. They intentionally walked Judge in a big spot in the 7th and then struck him out in the 9th in another big spot. Former Yankee reliever David Robertson, now the White Sox closer, struck out Judge. The second-place Bombers are now a game back of Boston in the American League East. Things don't get any easier, too. The Yankees are off to Houston for the weekend. The Astros have 54 wins, the most in baseball. The Mets will be back in Flushing tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies. The club is 5-5 over their last 10 games. They wrapped up the road trip by going .500 and winning back-to-back in Miami, including a 6-3 victory on Thursday. Mets infielder Asdrubal Cabrera initially called for a trade when he learned that he would be playing second base upon his return from the disabled list in the absence of another injured Met in Neil Walker. Cabrera has since rescinded his trade request. Good thing Saturday is his bobblehead day at Citi Field. Bellator 180 totally lived up to the hype as one of the most highly expected sporting events of the summer. The pay-per-view event, Bellator's MSG debut, rocked the world's most famous arena last Saturday night. The card had 3 championship bouts and was headlined by the grudge match between Chael Sonnen and Wanderlei Silva, which the American gangster Sonnen won in decision, and the matchup of heavyweights in the great Fedor and former New York Giant Matt Mitrione. The heavyweight showdown was a double knockout that Mitrione survived. Here's more from the Garden.
Fights. I think that when we put this fight card together, we talked about doing a fight card that has something for everybody, and I think that that's what we delivered tonight.
And, you know, I've worked hard too. I just haven't had quite the opportunities that others have. But I did get this opportunity, and I made it count. And I'm sure I spoiled some plans, and you know, I'm sure they'll be throwing some heavy hitters at me.
You know, I just wanted to. I felt like I could challenge myself, but hey, you make mistakes in life, and you know, it is what it is.
How much do or die pressure did you feel going into this fight with Wanderlei?
Well, I didn't feel any pressure, but I will concede to you that's a reality, man. You never know when it's your last fight. You know, there's an expression, you're never done with the business, but one day the business is going to be done with you, and that's just a reality. And the term fighter became corrupted. When I was a young man, a fighter was somebody that got up and did what they didn't want to do when the chips were down and it was hard. That's what a fighter did.
You know, how happy are you just to achieve this goal and, you know, remain undefeated?
On top of the world, man. It was great. I feel blessed, and I'm so lucky for them giving me the chance and getting in there and fighting with one of the best lightweights in the world, Michael Chandler, and it was an honor to throw some hands with that guy. And man, I'm on top of the world. I'm the lightweight world champion.
You've defeated a dangerous fighter, a guy who was probably ranked above you in these world rankings we talk about. So how do you feel about that accomplishment?
Feels good, you know, like you said, he's ranked top 7, top 5 in the world, and you know, I just beat him, beat him pretty soundly too, so hopefully now I get some respect, you know, that I belong here, I belong in the top 10, you know, I've always wanted tough fights like that.
Any feeling of feeling starstruck, like I'm really facing this guy? I mean, did that ever come into play as far as you?
No, there was no, I wasn't starstruck at all, but he's really, really good. He is easily the best person I've ever fought.
So the question was how Fedor was feeling after the fight. So Fedor's feeling, well, I'm feeling myself very good. So I just got the doctor's inspection, so everything was good.
To be Madison Square Garden, have a big fight. I mean, there's some extremely talented fighters and some, you know, there's some talent up here. I mean, I've been around this fight business a long time, and there's some talent in that room tonight, and they gave it their all. So extremely proud of these guys, and I thought the media, thank you guys. You guys covered us extremely well all, you know, for the whole week and leading up to the fight. I think this is the most coverage we've ever had for an event, and this is the one to do it.
Earlier in the evening, the Bronx's own Jerome Mickle, who we saw on the subway in the days leading up to his big MMA fight at the Garden, fell via a rear naked choke for submission. Mickle performed well despite the outcome. He wasn't the only prospect to fall. Bellator NYC also featured the debut of MMA prospect Aaron Pico at lightweight against a much more experienced opponent at 8-2 in Zach Freeman. Freeman stunned Pico with a right-hand uppercut just 10 seconds into the fight, going for a submission immediately when Pico slumped, tapping out his opponent in just 24 seconds. Back to the drawing board for the 20-year-old Pico, and big ups for Freeman, a guy with a day job that got no love leading up to the matchup. Freeman is half Rocky, half Cinderella story in what turned out to be a memorable evening at MSG. For more, visit bellator.spike.com. We'll have an expanded look, including some insider coverage of the media day and the weigh-ins on our next Sports NYC. New York City FC's victory over the Red Bulls on Saturday was significant as their first road win against their rivals. But last night's commanding result against expansion Minnesota United FC was equally impressive. 1, for the comeback fashion, and 2, it extended what is now a 4-match win streak on an evening when there was no letdown for NYCFC. We go inside the locker room for more. Jack, your go-ahead goal seemed to swing the momentum. You know, just talk about what you saw on that play and being able to not have a letdown after the Red Bull win.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew it was important to come out again strongly into this game, and I think we were a little unfortunate not to get another goal in the first half. Thought we started off really well, and then coming out in the second half again, team just played so well as a team, and that's what happens. You know, you create chances, and we were able to get a goal and another one after that.
How important was it to come out tonight and to not have that letdown after having such a big victory against your rival?
We are so happy for the victory in Red Bull Arena for our fans, but we work this week for get the game in Red Bull and take the 3 points. That is the same important today than the last game. We are happy to get that.
A lot of teams start up hot and then one bad result leads to another, and then that's what happens. That ends their season. I mean, thankfully we have a good chemistry right now, and we just got to keep this momentum going. And even if we do lose a game, we got to keep that record of not losing 2 in a row.
With the win, NYCFC 10-5-3, 33 points, moved to within 2 points of Eastern Conference leading Toronto and 1 point behind second place Chicago. They now get a 6-day break before a game at Vancouver. Time for some quick hitters. OKC's Russell Westbrook takes home the NBA's Most Valuable Player award. Called it. The 28-year-old topped a group featuring former teammates James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and LeBron James, but it was not close, with Westbrook receiving 69 of 101 first-place votes. Harden 22, Leonard 9, and James 1. Phil Jackson's tenure in New York did not come close to a championship either. Jackson and the Knicks parted ways Wednesday. 3 years was enough, and apparently James Dolan seems to have sided with Carmelo Anthony. Anthony reportedly said he would waive his no-trade to leave the Knicks. Rumors are swirling that several notable names like John Calipari are interested in the vacancy. In hockey, the New Jersey Devils took Nico Hischier and not Nolan Patrick, as I predicted with the #1 pick. Patrick instead went second to Philadelphia. As I mentioned, it was a stacked draft at the top. I believe both players will be worthy of the top 2 picks. I still think Patrick could be the better player, though. He's certainly more NHL ready at this point. The Rangers grabbed Lias Andersson at #7 following a deal with Arizona for the pick. Derek Stepan headlined that trade with the Coyotes. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list for a quick note on the Yankees. The baseball season, as they say, is a marathon, not a sprint. Yankees GM Brian Cashman finally has rebuilt the farm system to make moves and adjustments as the team has struggled in June. But lately, the Bombers are in a funk, and a lot has to do with injuries. You could see the same thing across town with injuries to the Mets. It has effectively put them in a position where they may have to consider things at the trade deadline and how they will position themselves for the remainder of the season. The Yankees lost Fowler Thursday night. Top prospect Gleyber Torres was lost for the season 2 weeks ago at AAA, sliding into home head first. Greg Bird was just transferred to the 60-day DL and might be lost for the season too. Another first baseman, Tyler Austin, returned from the DL and homered in Chicago, only to suffer a hamstring injury. He's now on the 10-day disabled list. Despite all of this, the Yanks are only a game back. The All-Star break is less than 2 weeks away, and Aaron Judge has 27 homers. Things haven't been great in June, aside from Judge, but with the break and perhaps some better luck in July, the Yanks should continue to stay in the thick of things. Cashman needs to evaluate the trade deadline as well. This weekend in Houston could dictate a lot. Hopefully the Yankees get some better breaks against the Astros. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.